Welcome to Victoria Rumble Room from Victoria, British Columbia. I'm Robin Adair. With me, as always, my pugilistic cohort, John Juricic, the Croatian Sensation.
Oh, God, I love that. I just love that title.
So, John, this is just a short snapper of a show this week. We've had many guests over the last few weeks, and we're running clips from them madly. And Judy Tyabji was going to be on the show. Sadly, she's had a health issue, so we're going to see Judy next week. And in the meantime, I thought we could talk about a couple of things that are going on that I thought were worth commenting on.
Absolutely.
One of them being $250 billion to be spent over the next 5 years in Canada to somehow make us the most economically proficient economy in the G7, and to be on top of that, a clean energy superpower. This is what Mark Carney is selling to the country. Do you think the country is buying it?
Robin, guess what I'm doing? I'm going to get my hair redone and I'm going to lose 100 pounds over the next 5 years. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Do you believe that? You probably believe that as much as I believe that $250 billion is going to regenerate our economy. You know what? All I hear is these people telling us stuff. Going to do this, going to do that. By the way, that's all the Liberals have done for the past 10 or 12 years. We're going to spend a bunch of money. I have a lot of skepticism, I'm telling you. I'm very concerned about this bullshit, okay? Here, I'm telling you, Carney could be different, but there's no historical record, frankly, politically, for this Liberal Party to spend money, and then we get ROI from that. I'm sorry. I am a skeptic, Robin.
Well, there's a lot of things to be concerned about. I mean, he's talking about a lot of technology that's still unproven, a lot of opportunities that are not A to B, and he's slamming on the door firmly on things that we know could make the country a tremendous amount of revenue. He's saying basically no. At least he's going very slowly on any kind of indication to be willing to put a pipeline through British Columbia. David Eby's fighting it and saying, no, we can't never have it. And a bunch of Liberal MPs who are all strong Trudeau supporters are now saying, no, unless the First Nations and, the British Columbia government...
I'll believe it when I see it.
I don't believe that. I believe if the federal government wanted a pipeline across to Rupert from Alberta, they'd have it and we would see it. It'd be worth billions of dollars to the economy. But Carney doesn't want that fight. Carney wants to hang on to his core. He's going to try to do it with mining. He's going to try to do it with building new hydro lines. That's what BC wants to do. Again, mining being the ticket. And maybe, just maybe, we can pull this out. But I'm very worried. Mark Carney says a lot of the things I want to hear. In a year's time, will it be delivered? I'm really on the fence about it. I'd love to see it. I didn't think at the end of the day that Poilievre and the Conservatives sold their notions and their vision very well. That's why Carney is there. He has an open door. The country desperately wants him to succeed because we're afraid of Donald Trump and what's going to happen. But I'm very nervous that none of this is going to bear fruit, and we're just going to have this massive debt to pass on to our children and grandchildren as our economy goes flat.
You are bang on. I am a huge skeptic, in large part not because I think that Carney can't pull this off, but historically it's been extraordinarily difficult. It's pretty clear that for Canada to prosper and make a bunch of money to pay for lots of things, we need to export our raw resources. This is not a difficult equation for the Canadian economy or historically. That's what we've done. That is almost impossible in this day and age, to get a pipeline and get those resources to another country, like you said.
I don't think it's impossible, John. I just think it's being made impossible because there's governments right now that are running the show that are tippy-toeing on things that they're afraid the public will back up.
Want it. Elizabeth May doesn't want it. She happens to have the balance of power.
With a party of one. Yeah.
Well, and she's the balance of power. Teasingly, that's what I call her these days when I see her in meetings. Hey, balance of power, how you doing?
I bet you she just loves it. She loves that, Johnny. She must love you.
She certainly is a vote that Carney needs to get things through and for policy to be passed. Nonetheless, too many folks on the sidelines, too many folks saying maybe no, too many folks cautious. We voted in build, baby, build. Do it.
And I do think the BC conservatives are a reflection of the Canadian conservatives. Both badly need new leadership. I don't think Polyev is ever going to sell in Canada. He had the big open door, but Trump showed up. He didn't know what to do, and Carney slipped in, and now Carney's got the initiative. But I think the National Conservative Party needs new leadership. The BC Conservative Party is on life support right now. The biggest fear they have is that EB calls a snap election because they're in no way, shape, or form ready to form a government. There's so much infighting going on, but we need a strong opposition in this province. Actually, the majority of people in this province do not vote NDP. So when Mark Carney is saying to the BC government, we'd like to get some of these resource developments across, and EB saying, oh no, the people of British Columbia would never stand for that. That's just his portion of the province of British Columbia. But how do we get that representation? Carney needs to put some pressure on BC, and at the same time, Rustad needs to walk in the snow, give his party a chance to reinvent itself with a new leader, and then maybe, just maybe, things can change. And John, I also want to just quickly mention that I was interested to see Minister Callon was holding a press conference talking about bringing down the interprovincial barriers between provinces, all the tariffs interprovincially, except drum roll for food and wine, food and
What?
beverages. I mean, what does it matter? And
You
and
see?
also, of course, there's still the trouble of moving labor from province to province. That hasn't all been worked out.
Yeah.
So they're saying, oh, we're moving the barriers. We're moving what? I mean, really, the big barriers are moving labor across the country and moving products like wine and foods across the
Oh
country.
my
And
Lord.
this has not been resolved.
I can't believe it. That was promised to us. You see, already backtracking, already changing the story, already putting internal barriers. We were so excited. Sell, baby, sell. I can't believe I'm saying all this garbage. Okay, this thing about the BC Conservatives. Um, this is a problem because if you recall, EB will learn from the John Horgan playbook, which is call elections when the opposition is vulnerable. And they did
Yes.
that right in the middle of COVID, when none of us could go out and support our candidates on the doors. We could barely get the vote out. And he got in, and he got in with a majority. EB's going to look at that, and he's going to do that. And we will have a BC election in 2026 because these conservatives, the other side, the non-NDPers, whatever you want to call them, they're all going to split into like about 20 different parties. And we're going to look like, what are those kind of Italy? We're going to look like some of those South American countries in which they have all these parties, and these splinter group parties are going to win. Frankly, that's what the NDP is going to do, and we will be talking about that next year. That's something I'm projecting.
Well, I think you're on the money. And I think before we break off with our little rants
Oh,
back
I'm
and
having so
forth
much fun today.
and,
Holy
and
mackerel.
rumbling, we're rumbling all over the place, John. I just want to send out another very positive message to the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce. I understand they recently held meetings with their governors, that's past chairs through the years,
It's you and
and
I,
they were
baby.
be and you were there, Johnny. You were there. Sadly, I was away, but you were there.
Yep.
And I'm very heartened to hear the chamber talking about we will stand for business. We will no longer stand on the sidelines. We'll make our feelings felt about the issues that are affecting business, like crime on the streets, for example, and many of the other social issues that are really causing havoc in our businesses and our downtowns right across the province. So good on the chamber, good on John Wilson. The question is, how effective can they be and how quickly can they act?
Robin, maybe we'll have something to say about that with our SWAT-like clips. Who knows? We'll see what happens, but we certainly encourage them to get their voice out digitally. And might I reinforce, despite my blustering and using of terms and blah blah blah, there is a missing piece these days if you're running a business, which is actually everybody. That being that it's hard to predict what's going to happen. It used to be that you could, you kind of You kind of saw where things were going, and you sense that if governments did ABC, that we might have a switch and there might be better times. It's very difficult to know where the US is going, where their interest rates will be going, who's telling the truth, who's in government. So the largest economy in the world, which used to be, if not still, our largest trading partner, is is completely unpredictable. Lots of announcements, as we've talked about here in Canada. Lots of them. Lots of barriers. Lots of switching policies at the last second. Lots of ineffective opposition parties. It is, and as you mentioned, difficult to run a business on the street with crime, addiction, health problems, safety. So, at the very least, can we start to get some sense of how a business is supposed to run their business when they can't even predict what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks? So, okay, so despite all the blustering, these are difficult times. And you and I are going to talk about these and expose some of the anxiety that we're hearing on the street.
Absolutely, John. Look, can't wait till we meet again. And the next time we do the Rumble and Rumble On, we'll have Judy Tyabji, the former MLA, joining us. She always has lots of colorful opinions. We'll look forward to that. We encourage everyone who's joining us to please follow the Rumble Room, and depending on what platform you're following, you can join us and you can sign on. You can watch our show regularly. We're on YouTube. We're on a ton of different platforms, right, John?
Yeah, we sure are, and you can see them coming across the screen. We got lots of activity on all over the place, and we encourage you to listen to us, especially on YouTube. Please subscribe to us there. We got stuff to say, so do our guests, and we can't wait to hear from them in the future. In the meantime, let's rumble on!
Rumble on, baby!